Hello fellow Tarnished, hello fellow friends, we have a new patch and a huge one, the biggest patch we had to date so far. Everyone saying that From Software doesn't care about PvP or balancing the game is shitting their pants right now. It's just crazy the amount of stuff we have in this patch, and I'm not even gonna waste any more of your time, but the question is on everybody's lips. Has the carrying glitch been nerfed? Are spells being taken out of the fucking game? Can we undress Melina? All those questions will be answered in this patch. So let's jump right into it. Elden Ring patch note 1.04. Elden Ring notice of update distribution version 1.04. We are distributing an update to improve the stability of gameplay and to adjust balance. We apologize for the inconvenience, but please apply the latest update before you enjoy the game. Target platform everybody, and we even have a little summary right here. Major changes included in the last update. Additional elements added. Added an option to turn camera auto rotate function on and off. Added some event faces for the NPC patches. So patches is gonna have a bit more to it. It seems like the end of his quest was a bit bugged because it would just disappear without anything. So there might be a lot of other stuff like that with NPC quests that are a bit bugged. Stuff that should happen that are not happening, but we will see in the future. Balance adjustment, increase Colossal Sword, Colossal Weapon attack speed and lower their recovery time. Jump attack not included. So this is huge. Although Colossal Sword can find some usage with the crouching R1, every other move is completely useless because they are just way too slow. And it is even worse with Colossal Weapons. So what we are calling Colossal Weapons is weapons that don't fit in any other category, such as Godfrey Great Axe, such as the finger weapon, you know, all those weapons, the duelist hammer, stuff like that. Those weapons are really lacking from a bit damage because you can almost get the same amount of damage on some much faster weapon. So why would you use a Colossal Sword? And also they are just very, very slow in general. So that's great. That's a great news. Hopefully they didn't buff it too much. And also what's nice to see is that they are choosing the path of buffing other stuff rather than not nerfing stuff. In this patch you will see it's mostly about buffing stuff, and this is great. Rather than making everything a bit shit, let's make everything a little bit strong. I think that's always a better way to look at balancing, except when of course there are some very, very broken stuff. Increase the two-handed jump attack of Colossal Sword weapons. Increase the two-handed attack damage of Colossal Sword weapons, jump attack not included. So when you two-hand your weapon, you will do a lot more damage. This is awesome. So it doesn't say about scaling with strength, right? Just say when you two-hand it, you do more damage. So because when you two-hand something, you will do more damage because you have more strength, because your strength is multiplied by 1.5. But here, this is not really what's happening. It seems like it's just by two-handing you will do more damage. That's it. Increased physical block rate and guard boost of the Colossal Sword, Colossal Weapon, Great Sword, Great Hammer, Great Axe, Great Spear, and Halberd weapon classes. So those weapons will be a very, very viable option to, you know, to block and maybe block counter. Maybe block counter will be very, very deadly on those weapons. That's something to be tested. Increase the damage of grafted great sword. So I didn't even play with that weapon, so but it's always good that we see they have a bit more damage. The grafted blade is the weapon that you get very early on in the Whipping Peninsula when you beat the boss of I don't want to say any bullshit, but I think it's Castle Morn. Increase the damage of Devour Scepter. Decrease the scaling of status effect buildup from spells and incantation of Albinoric Staff and Dragon Communion. So apparently they were doing too much damage, I guess. Decrease the effect of Great Shield Talisman for weapon with high block rate. So this is definitely a nerf to Fingerprint. So everybody's complaining about Fingerprint, and they were right. Fingerprint Shield and just generally Great Shield are unbeatable at the moment. If you use a Great Shield with the Great Talisman, with the Shield Talisman, if you're not dumb, you will not lose any fight, especially if the other person isn't also using the Great Shield. Shorten the length of the Madness effect animation. This one is huge because you will be able to, because Madness is really a plague at the moment, especially in PvP. This whole patch, we are looking at it from a PvP perspective, of course, and shorten the length of the Magnus and shortening the length of the Magnus afflicted animation. That thing used to one-shot it. Someone could use the frenzied burst. If someone could use the frenzied burst incantation, they would one-shot Madness you, then they would do another shot and you would be dead. So great to see them doing something about it. There is also some stuff about bleed in this patch, so keep an eye on it. Lower the speed of Madness build-up recovery. So lower the speed of Madness build-up recovery. I'm not too sure, honestly. I'm not too sure what it means. If someone has a clue to tell me in the comment section below. Slightly increased FP and stamina growth rate at lower level. So I guess this is okay. The players will need to perform any of the following action for the changes to be reflected. This is required only once. New character created after this will not be required this action. I'm not too sure what it means. Maybe you get more bank out of your buck when you are leveling up, you know, your mind or your endurance. So we'll see about that, how it works. And probably it also scales better with like Earthree's favor and stuff like that. Sorceries, incantation, upward adjustment. So we have a lot of sorceries and incantation that have been updated, whether they've increased the recovery time, they decreased the recovery time, they increased the cast speed. So there is like a lot of stuff that has been happening. So you guys will need to redo your all sorcery and incantation based build, you know, your all spell casting type of build, because with those changes there might be some new combo coming out, maybe some, you know, some new sorceries comboing into one another. That might be a thing. So let's jump right into it. Crystal Barrage, increase cast speed and decrease recovery time. Gavel of Haima, increase cast speed and decrease recovery time, allows caster to more easily withstand enemies' attack while casting. So I guess withstand is about, you know, dodging the thing. And what does it actually means? You know what? Let's look at what. Fuck it. Shattered Earth, increase cast speed and decrease recovery time, allows caster to more easily withstand enemies' attack while casting it. Rock Blaster, decrease recovery time, allows caster to more easily withstand enemies' attack while casting it. The problem of those spells was that you were just a sitting duck when you were shooting them. You know, when you were casting them, you will almost all the time trade, and the trade was not really worth it. So I'm guessing they did those buffs to make them much more viable. Renella's Full Moon, increase cast speed and decrease recovery time. Rani's Dark Moon, decrease cast speed and decrease recovery time. Increase cast speed and decrease recovery time. Corian Great Sword, increase cast speed and increase cast speed at lower dexterity. So even if you don't have like a lot of dex because basically Radagon, you know, there is the talisman of Radagon that gives you a boost to your cast speed, and those buffs are there to make it so it's still viable to use incantation and sorceries even if you don't have those talisman equipped. So that's great. Magma Shot, decrease FP cost and increase cast speed. Rolling Magma, increase cast speed and decrease time until magma explode. Gelmy's Fury, slightly decrease the random nature of projectile range and increase the damage of lava pool. Increase the hitbox. Record's Rancor, decreased FP cost. Oracle's Bubbles, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Great Oracle Bubble, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. So those are, you know, the incantation from the Envoy horns, and although they were funny to use, they were not that great. So, you know, they might be a force to be reckoned with. Buyer of Sin, decreased recovery time, increased blood loss build up on enemies. So this is where you're summoning, you know, the thorn around you, and so you will be stuck for a lot less time in place. However, you will have a lot more chance to inflict blood loss to yourself. Briars of Punishment, which is the same incantation. The same sorcery, decrease recovery time, increase blood loss build up on enemies. Explosive Ghost Flame, decrease FP cost and recovery time. TBS Summon, increase damage and cast speed. Aspect of the Crucible Tail, decrease FP and stamina cost. Aspect of Crucible Horns, decrease FP and stamina cost. Increase cast speed, increases the distance travel when not charged and made it easier to cause enemy to flinch when charged. So, you might need to give another shot at the Crucible Horns. Elden Stars, increase cast speed and decrease recovery time. Yeah, you will get stuck into place for a long time while casting it, although Elden Stars is not that great. It might be better now. Black Blade, decrease stamina consumption and decrease recovery time. The thing with Black Blade is that it just costs too much faith, and it's just weird that in order to do a full Malekith type of fight, you need so much faith, because you also need a lot of... Let's say you want to use Malekith's Black Blade. I'm talking about it because I made a video not too long ago reviewing the whole weapon. Like, the Malekith Black Blade would definitely benefit a lot from projectile speed, and pairing it with faith will be nice, but then you will need to go around 40 faith, 40 strength, but you will not do that much damage with the sword if you and even with most of the faith strength type of weapon, increasing the faith is really a detriment to your damage rather than increasing the strength. So yeah, I think the Black Blade problem is that it just requires way too much faith, and I think it would be nice if Black Blade would scale with the Claw Mark Talisman and we would require less faith. Okay, let's not talk too much about Black Blade, but it's great that they do something about it. Discus of Light, decrease FP cost, increase damage and cast speed. Great. Triple Ring of Light, increase damage. Beautiful. Radagon's Ring of Light, decrease FP cost, increase damage and cast speed, decrease recovery time. Okay, so a big buff to all those sorceries that are both requiring sorceries and faith, so maybe it will be a bit more viable to invest into that type of faith sorcery type of build. Lightning Strike, decrease stamina cost, increase cast speed and decrease recovery time. Definitely a much needed nerf. And this is what they're doing, all the lightning type of spells are just awful because they take too long to cast, but they also have a terrible tracking. Like, there is just no way you would use a lightning based incantation type of build rather than a sorcery type of spellcasting build. Horn Bolt, increase cast speed and decrease recovery time, so it will combo even better into Bestial Sling. Is for those who don't know, you can actually true combo Bestial Sling into Horn Bolt, so that's going to make it even more deadly. Ancient Dragon Lightning Spears, decrease FP and stamina cost, increase cast speed and decrease recovery time, allows caster to more easily withstand enemies' attack while casting. So yeah, so those, I think the big problem with Ancient Lightning Spear is that sometimes you just hit nothing. I think that's something they should have worked on. Ancient Dragon's Lightning Strike, decrease recovery time. Lance's Glaive, a super cool incantation, decreased FP and stamina cost, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time, allows caster to more easily withstand enemies' attack while casting it. So yeah, it's just going to come faster. I think they need a FP reduction, and that's what they're doing. So this is beautiful. Lance's Glaive might be a much better incantation. 40 Lightning Spear, decrease FP and stamina cost, increase cast speed and decrease recovery time, allows caster to withstand enemies' attack while casting it more easily. Frozen Lightning Spears, decrease stamina cost, increase cast speed, and decrease recovery time, allow caster to more easily withstand enemies' attack while casting. Again, the problem with Frozen Lightning Spear is that you will just hit nothing while casting it, and nothing has been done about it. So, but overall, it's nice to see an overall rebranding, reconstructing, rebuilding of the lightning spell. So that's great that they've discovered that, and that also shows us that FromSoft really wants everything to be viable and fun. They don't want just magic to be OP and every type of spellcasting is just like meh. They want to try to make their best, and they are slowly doing buffs to these incantations so that they don't make it too OP, and we find slowly a balance between sorceries and incantation. O-Flame, increased damage. Giants take the decreased stamina cost. Flame of the Fair God, decreased FP cost and increased damage. Yeah, some of those incantations were requiring a stupid amount of FP, so it's great that you see that. The problem that we have with those incantations is that you will do almost as much damage, if not more damage, with Ashes of War that are using a lot less of your FP. So it's great that they are balancing that out. Black Flame, increased damage, and the spell can break enemy's guard. So that might also be great to break shield. That Black Flame might be a great option to break people's shield. We'll see about that later. They don't say anything about this. They say about enemy's guard, but maybe enemy's guard is the PvP shield, protection kind of thingy. Scouring Black Flame, decreased FP cost and recovery time, increased attack range and area effect. Black Flame Ritual, increased FP cost and increased damage. Gurung's Beast Claw, increased damage and decreased recovery time. Yeah, that thing was way too slow. But I think it's the casting speed that's lacking here. Blood Flame Talent, decreased FP cost and increased cast speed, decreased recovery time. Blood Boon, not Bloodborne, increased damage, increased cast speed and decreased effect startup time, decreased recovery time. Pest Thread, decreased stamina cost. I mean, Pest Thread needs like a lot more damage, a lot more tracking. Like, this is not enough to save Pest Thread. I'm sorry, FromSoft. Scarlet of Aeonia, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time, allows caster to more easily withstand enemies attack while casting it. Okay, that's beautiful. And Durable Frenzy, increased cast speed and decrease recovery time, decrease the random nature of projectile range, and increase madness buildup on enemies. Okay, beautiful. Unescapable Frenzy, increased cast speed. So you're gonna have to be careful for those people trying to kiss you, trying to embrace you. Placidusax Rune and not Placidusax Rune. Decreased FP, stamina cost and recovery time. Okay, beautiful. The problem with Placidusax Rune, sorry, it's a mouthful to say, is that the first frame of attack was coming out very quick, a good amount of damage, but then you would be stuck, shooting layers of beam in very random direction, and people could just, come and if they were able to dodge your first frame, they would just be able to come and, charge R to you or jumping R to you. Dragon Claw decreased FP, stamina cost and recovery time and made it easier to cause enemies to flinch when charged. Dragon Maw decreased FP, stamina cost, recovery time and increased cast speed and made it easier to cause enemies to flinch when charged. Guerrero's Roll decreased FP, beautiful, stamina cost and recovery time. So I think like all those dragon breath type of things, the one that are breathing fire are great. They require a lot of FP and they do a lot of damage, but that's fair because they are very hard to dodge. If you're close to them, you will get hit very often by the thing. But yeah, all the other one like Dragon Claw, Dragon Maw and Guerrero's Roll. Although Guerrero's Roll is a bit different because the real problem of it was that it was draining almost all of your stamina while casting it, but it does a lot of damage. It comes out really quickly. So, and it has a huge AoE effect also. So really cool to see those dragon type of spell. It might be worth giving another try. And that was it for the spells. That was a long spell lesson. Now, moving on. Upward and downward adjustment. Adula's Moonblade decrease the power of sling cast and improve performance so that the blade and frost hit more consistently and continuously. Increase cast speed at lower dexterity. I mean, Adula's Moonblade is almost one-shotting you in PvP, so I don't know if that's a good thing. Decrease the power of single cast and improve performance so that the blade and frost hit more consistently and continuously. Yeah, I don't know about that. I think Adula Moonblade was just fine as it was. Flame fell upon them, decrease the damage of single cast and improve the performance so that it hits the enemy multiple times, decrease FP cost. Howl of Shabriri, decrease the madness buildup on the enemy, increase the cast speed and decrease recovery time. I don't know about that. I think Howl of Shabriri was good that it was doing a lot of madness buildup because it was a lot of sacrifice. You would get stuck in one place for a long time and you will be very vulnerable to being hit, but on the other hand you will be able to do a lot of madness buildup and maybe capitalize on it. However, now it might be, you might need to cause some madness buildup before you cast Hollow Shaburi. So let me know, all of you guys that are madness main, tell me how that works for you. Downward adjustment, swarm of flies decrease bloodlust buildup on enemies. Thank you. Those flies were a big threat. They were very, very almost impossible to dodge, to be honest. Like if they were getting close to you, you would get hit and almost instantly bled out. Although the bleed damage was not too great, the problem with bleed is that you get stuck in place for way too long. Flame of Frenzy, decreased madness buildup on enemies. I don't know about this one. I think Flame of Frenzy was fair. Yeah, I don't see many problem with Flame of Frenzy. Frenzied Burst, decreased madness buildup on enemies. That one was a much required nerf because, as I said previously, Frenzied Burst would just like one-shot you because you would get stuck into place for way too long. Weapon skill, upward adjustment, Lion's Claw. Okay, so this one weapon skill thing is huge. A lot of Ash of War are going to be much viable. Lion's Claw, increase cast speed and decrease recovery time. Beautiful, nothing to say about that. Kick, increase cast speed. Beautiful. Kick is a much needed, actually what we need with Kick is that it needs to do more stamina damage when people are guarding. That's something that really needs to be made about Kick. Horara Lose Earth Seeker. So this is the Ash of War from Guthrie that you get from Guthrie after beating him. Increase cast speed on follow-up input, decrease recovery time. Beautiful. I mean, that goes hand in hand with the buff to Colossal Weapon animation speed, because all those Ashes of War are just way too slow. Troll's Roar, decrease stamina cost, increase cast speed and follow-up input, increase distance traveled. Giant Hunt, decreased recovery time. Storm Assault, decreased recovery time. Beautiful. Storm Assault is a really cool Ash of War. It was just like, I don't know, a bit too much of a sacrifice when you would cast it, because you would get stuck in place for way too long, but that might make it much better. Carrion Greatsword, increase cast speed and decrease recovery time, increase the damage when charged and made it easier to cause enemies to flinch. Carrion Grander, increase cast speed and decrease recovery time, increase the damage when charged and made it easier to cause enemies to flinch. Gravitas, increase cast speed. Flaming Strike, increase the travel distance of a stepping cleave in a strong attack. Flaming Strike was already super good. It's one of the best Ash of War in the game at the moment. Increase the travel distance of a stepping cleave in a strong attack. Wow, so Flaming Strike is just going to be even better. I don't know. Black Flame Tornado had added hitbox to weapon when speeding and added a window to roll during the attack to cancel the animation. Beautiful, because the problem with Black Flame Tornado is that you would get stuck in place when casting it and there was nothing you could do to get out of it, but now you can cancel the animation. So this is beautiful. Lightning Slash, increase cast speed, added a hitbox to the stomp animation. Beautiful, very good. Maybe Lightning Strike is going to be a very nice buff, and also maybe Dragon Scale Blade is also going to benefit from this buff. Sacred Blade, increase cast speed. Sacred Grid of Light, increase cast speed. Beautiful stuff that we need. Poisonous Mid, increase cast speed. Poisonous Moth Fight, increase cast speed and decrease recovery time as Ice Spear added a hitbox to the weapon spinning animation. Beautiful. Chilling Mist, increase cast speed. Assassin's Gambit, increase cast speed. Shield Bash, increase cast speed. Shield Crash, decrease stamina cost, increase cast speed. Blade of Gold, decrease stamina cost and increase cast speed and decrease recovery time. Blade of Death, increase cast speed and decrease recovery time. Golden Tempering, decrease FP cost and increase cast speed, increased effect duration. Last Right, increase cast speed. Mist of Slumber, increase cast speed. Beautiful. We love to see those buffs to those Ash of War that we never see. Very nice. Mist of Slumber, have I not said that one? I mean, increase cast speed. Eocade's Dancing Blade, increased travel distance, added a window to roll during the attacks to cancel the animation. Beautiful. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't even know what Eocade Dancing Blade is, so if anyone has a clue if that's a good buff or not, let me know. Unblockable Blade, increased cast speed with the weapon coated sword. Beautiful. Beautiful. Those might be even better to counter shield, because the coated sword animation was just way too slow. It might be also nice to see an increased cast speed to Cypher, Pata, Unblockable Blade. We'll see, maybe later. Alabaster Lord's Pull, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time, added a window to roll during the attack to cancel the animation. Beautiful. I mean, not Alabaster Pull, but also Gravitas. Those Ash of War are just bad, to be honest, at the moment. Establish Order, decreased recovery time and increased cast speed on follow-up input. Increased damage, made it easier to cause enemies to flinch. Moonlight Great Sword. Decreased FP cost, increased cast speed, and decreased recovery time. Increase the frost build-up effect during the skill duration. So Moonlight Great Sword might be even better. And we love this weapon. The big problem with Moonlight Great Sword is just that it's a great sword. So it's just a bad weapon at the moment. Wave of Gold, decreased FP cost, increased cast speed, and decreased recovery time. Okay, Wave of Gold was already pretty good, but in PvP it was pretty easy to dodge, but now it might be better. Wolf Assault, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Beautiful. The Queen's Black Flame, increased cast speed, added the window to roll during the attack to cancel animation. Dynasty's Finesse, decreased stamina cost. Really, Dynasty's Finesse was already like just invincibility on demand. I don't know if it needed any buff or nerf, if anything. Flowing Form, decreased stamina cost. Death Flare, increased cast speed. Onyx Lord's Repulsion, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time, added a window to roll during the attack. Magma Guillotine, decreased stamina cost, increased casting speed, decreased recovery time on follow-up inputs. Cursed Blood Slice, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. As Lightning Sword, increased cast speed, added a hitbox to the stomp animation. Beautiful. That's what we like to see. This is the animation. So this is what I was talking about. Dragon Blade. Dragon Scale Blade. The katana that does ice damage once buff. Rose's Summons, decreased recovery time. I commend the Near. Increased cast speed, including follow-up input, added a window to roll during the attack to cancel the animation. Beautiful. Gold Breaker, decreased FP cost, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Familial Rancor, added a window to roll during the attack to cancel the animation. So basically the whole thing is to make all the Ashes of War that gets you stuck in place for a long time, to make them more viable, so that you can use them and not get, if you miss your first shot, because most of these attacks have 2 or 3 step in the way the attack goes, you can roll out of it if you see that your opponent is about to close in on you. Nebula, increased cast speed, decreased recovery time with the weapon Bastard Store. Beautiful. We love to see it, but yeah, Bastard Store is just a flail, so that's the big problem actually. Flail needs a buff. Regal Beast Claw, increased cast speed. Devourer of Ward, increased cast speed. Regal's Roar, decreased recovery time. Spare Call Ritual, decreased recovery time. Ancient Lightning Spear, decreased FP cost and increased cast speed. Allows player to more easily withstand enemies while casting it. Great Serpent, decreased recovery time and increased damage, allows player to more easily. I mean, the problem Great Serpent is that it does nothing in PvP, so make it do something in PvP. Frenzy Flame Burst, decreased FP cost, decreased recovery time, decreased mana's build up on self. So this is the Vike Spear Ash of War. Yeah, it was very, very easy to backstab it. Now it's just going to be a bit harder to backstab it, but I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem, although I hope it's still backstabbable. Blood Boon Ritual, increased cast speed. Mikhail's Ring of Light, increased cast speed. Sea of Magma, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time, added a window to roll during the attack. Flame Dance, decreased stamina cost, decreased recovery time, added a window to roll during the attack, cancel animation. Storm Kick, decreased stamina cost. Bear Witness, increased cast speed. Upward and downward adjustment. Thundercloud Form, decreased damage when not charged, decreased FP cost, increased cast speed and increased recovery time. I told you guys it was a long patch. Bug fixes. Fixed the bug where the damage of Inescapable Frenzy was affected by right hand weapon. Inescapable Frenzy was affected by right hand weapon. Oh, fuck. Bug fixes. Fix the bug where the damage of inescapable frenzy was affected by right-hand weapon. Fix the bug where the damage of weapon art carrying retaliation was increased by weapon and status and the effect was not displayed correctly during online play. So carrying retaliation has been nerfed. Everybody chill down. It has been nerfed. Everything's going to be fine with carrying retaliation. It's going to work as intended. And actually, I'm a bit sad about that. I think it was really fun to one-shot mages that were spamming you with spells, but now they're gonna be able to keep on spamming you with very little consequence to their actions. Fix the bug where the animation when inflicted with bloodlust and frostbite was bigger than originally planned. So this is phrased a little bit weird. The animation is bigger, doesn't mean much, right? What I think is that the stun lock has been nerfed, and this is something I've been talking about since the release of the game, that status build-up is getting you stuck in place for way too long and people were able to trade with you. I mean, basically, there is a big problem with the status effect thingy, especially with Madness, Bleed, and Frost, is that people can stun lock you even when you dodge it, because the build-up effect will still get procced even when you dodge it. So this is a weird netcode problem from Elden Ring that's coming from Dark Souls 3. And you shouldn't, and if they stun lock you, first of all, the stun lock lasts for longer than a regular attack, so that's one problem. And they will just be able to hit you even if they didn't hit you, if you see what I mean. So I think this is what this is about. Fix the bug during character appearance change menu in which some parameter changes were sometimes not reflected. Alright, whatever. Fix the bug that prevented a dialogue from appearing when executing leave on some items. Fix the bug that allow unauthorized item to be passed to other players. So that might be, I think, and I really hope, this is a way to nerf, how it's called. I think this is a way to nerf Starlight Shards. Because right now you cannot drop Rune Arc to people, but you can drop Starlight Shards. So I think they are making it so you cannot drop Starlight Shards anymore, or maybe other consumables that are very rare, so that people have to farm from them and then you will see them very less often. So that might be a good thing. Fix a bug in multiplayer that prevented Grace to be registered on the map if it was found just before the player is summoned. Fix a bug that sometimes prevented the mechanic Queen of the Full Moon fight from walking properly during coach. Well, basically she's becoming invisible for some time, then she's appearing. Fix the bug that sometimes prevented the player from entering the boss area after defeating Morgoth, the Omen King. Fix the bug that prevented Edgar the Revenger and Festering Fingerprint Vike from invading after defeating all bosses in Leona of the Lake. The item Tonic of Forgetfulness can now be obtained at the Volcano Manor if the player wasn't able to obtain it due to the quest progression. I don't even know what this item does. Fix the bug that causes the reduction of runes due to NPC ghost stock when player dies in Stormveil Castle to occur at an intended timing. Added a protective barrier to Millicent after helping her at Michaela's Electree so she cannot be unintentionally killed. I don't like that barrier thingy. I really don't like that they made this barrier thing around NPCs so that you can continue their quest line. I think if you kill them by accident, you should pay the price for it. I mean, you killed an NPC or you attack an NPC. So, yeah, just don't attack them. Or if you want to attack them, feel the full consequences of your action. Now it's just like, I don't know. I just don't like that barrier thingy. Fix the bug that sometimes prevented the player from obtaining the reward after defeating the Dung Eater. Fix the bug that sometimes prevented the player from progress Dialos quest line. Fix the bug that sometimes prevented the player from duplicating Remembrance of the Walking Mausoleum. Fix the bug that prevents the player from inputting Katsuguchi attack when dueling wielding thrusting sword. Fix the bug that causes sight. I mean, there is a big problem with input generally in this game. Fix the bug that causes sight to lose blood effect if poison affinity is applied to the weapon. Fix the bug where the damage of the Iron Greatsword was lower than they expect when an affinity is applied. Beautiful. Fix the bug that causes FP consumption to increase when the player casts Night Comet with charge. Fix the bug that causes the default key setting on keyboard for weapons, skill, left control not to be set on PC only. Fix the bug on the Steam version of the history of player who played multiplayer was not displayed correctly under certain circumstances. Increase online multiplayer stability. I wish they fixed everything because the server were just terrible. The connection error were awful. We would have like disconnect, invasion after invasion after invasion after invasion. Like people would just get disconnected left and right. I mean, this is unacceptable, to be honest. Fixed a bug that caused incorrect sound to be displayed under certain circumstance. Fixed a bug that caused some places on the map to have incorrect visual and hitbox. Fixed a bug that causes some enemies to have incorrect visuals and behavior. Fixed a bug that causes some armor to have incorrect stats. Text fixed. Other performance improvement and bug fixes. The version number of this update shown at the lower number, blah 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 blah. And that was it for the patch, guys. I really hope, I mean, it's crazy. The amount of stuff that has been fixed here that we needed to be fixed are crazy. Bloodhound Step is still untouched. I want to say that Bloodhound Step is still untouched. Yeah, I mean, this is a big detriment. It's great to see all the buff to all these Ashes of War. It makes just a whole other world of possibilities to be explored. I'm thinking about the lightning blade and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm really excited to try all those things out. And even now, the game has been out for about 2 months and I still haven't tried everything. I still do, many of the incantation and spells I read to you guys, I have no clue what they are or what even they do. That's why sometimes you just heard me read the thing without, spending too much time commenting about, oh, this is good, this is bad, because I have no idea. I haven't tried all the spells and all the weapons because there is so much to improve to explore in this game. And if you really, I think if you really just use the regular cookie cutter, River of Blood, Bloodhound Step spam, double Naginata bleed build, I think you're missing out. Like, try different things, see how it is. However, if your sole purpose is to win, then just keep on doing what you're doing. That was it, guys, for the longest patch in the world. Please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. The things I really want to see addressed is Bloodhound Step. I think Bloodhound Step is something that needs to be addressed overall. But besides that, it's great stuff. It's beautiful. We love to see it. I love to see it. And I see you, fellow Tarnish, very, very soon in the lens between. It was Valentin. I'm exhausted from reading this patch note. Big bisous. Bye-bye.